Good afternoon. If I could have your attention, please. That didn't take too long. On behalf of the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, welcome to the 2012 Small Business Person of the Year Luncheon. At this point, would you please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Continue eating. My name is Kenny Craig. I'm President and CEO of the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, and again, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2012 Small Business Person of the Year Luncheon. We're excited about honoring our guests today and our recipients. In your program, you'll see the next part of the program was that Mayor Pat Mueller was supposed to come to the podium. He had an emergency today that was city business, so he couldn't do that. I just thought I would, he was going to present us a proclamation. Let me just tell you what it was, or what it is. In the proclamation, Hamilton City Council wishes to join the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce Small Business Council in recognizing the small businesses located in Hamilton, Ohio. Small businesses are the backbone of our community. I want to thank the City Council, and the Mayor for joining us and welcoming you today, and also for honoring our recipients. You're in for a real treat today. We have with us today Mike LaRosa, our keynote speaker. Now, he asked me to leave out the entire bio, but I'm not going to do that. It's rather long, but it's very interesting. Mike LaRosa began working at LaRosa's in 1974. I see that makes you about 25 now. After graduating from LaSalle High School and continuing working there while pursuing his education, graduating from the University of Cincinnati in 1977. He held several positions during that time, beginning with working in the produce department as a kitchen employee. You didn't start at the top, did you? Assistant manager, and then being promoted to operations manager in 1984, and holding that position until 1990, when he became president and chief operating officer. This is my favorite one. In 1998, Michael became president and chief people officer, responsible for training and development and cultural issues. Michael was involved with overseeing training and human resources efforts of over 3,000 team members. Michael held that position until January 2009, when he became LaRosa's chief executive officer. In his current role as CEO, Michael is responsible for strategic planning, direction, and long-term success of LaRosa's Inc. Michael is also tasked with the responsibility of LaRosa's business plan development, review, accountability, and ensuring a working environment of excellence, trust, and honest communication. Michael is actively involved in fundraising for the Boy Scouts of America. He's involved with many organizations, including the Wellness Community, Mother of Mercy High School, Mercy Hospital of Western Hills, and St. Joseph Orphanage. He also volunteers for numerous events in support of the Alzheimer's Association, Hemophilia Association, Westwood Cheviot Kiwanis, and public broadcasting station WCET. Michael and his wife Lisa have 4 children and 2 grandchildren. So it's my pleasure, and please welcome to the podium Mike LaRosa.
Yeah, you're good. I told him not to read the bio, and he read the whole thing. Oh my. Hey, good afternoon. What a beautiful day today. You know, it's to have that humidity leave us a little bit, the crisp air this morning. It's just an awesome day to be alive, and I appreciate the invitation to be here today. I want to thank Kenny and Nancy O'Neill. I'm not sure why I get asked to speak at events like this. I guess people hear me at certain places, and they think I have a message. And hopefully some of what I share with you today you'll be able to take with you. Nancy gave me some advice, but before I do that, I want to congratulate George Schmidt and Steve Timmer on their recognition today. Outstanding accomplishments. Much of what I'm going to talk about today is just how we need to be influenced by people like George and Steve, because we don't go through life alone, and it's often the influence that we absorb from other people that can help propel us to better things. So you have to pay attention to people like these folks are being recognized today, because we all should be inspired by that and behave more like them. But anyway, Nancy asked me to talk today about success and the type of qualities and characteristics that bring success to us as business owners, as individuals, as spouses and parents and grandparents and whatever role that we play in life. Hey, we all want to be successful, right? We want to all feel like today I'm just so thankful for everything that I have and everything I've accomplished and everything that I'm doing. You know, I feel great about the opportunities that are presented to me today. But it's tough to get to that point where you can feel that way. You know, life is not easy. And the first thing I want to share with you is a concept that was brought to me a long time ago. And it's this idea that no one achieves success alone. Success is not an individual sport. If you're successful, other people are on your team and they help you be successful. Show me somebody who thinks that they're doing it on their own and they're a fool that soon will fall off of whatever, you know, accomplishment they have attained. Because success is a team sport. Life is a team sport. I wouldn't be here without my parents and the role that they have played in my life. Neither would you. I wouldn't be here without the experiences and the opportunities that have been presented to me. I have to be in tune with that. So life is a team sport. And a couple of years ago, I was promoted to CEO in our organization. And T.D. Hughes, who was our previous CEO for many, many years, one of the first things that he advised me in the first quarter of 2008, he said, Michael, you know, our board of directors for LaRosa's really has been shaped by me. He said, you know, T.D. Hughes shaped the board of directors to serve him through his years of leading the organization. He said, Michael, I think you should take a look at the board and work on it and shape it to your needs. What do you need from business advisors who will care about LaRosa's and care about your success? And I really took that suggestion seriously, and I started to evaluate, you know, what are my specific needs? What would I really like to get from some outside advisors? And what does my executive leadership team really need? You know, what would be a positive influence for us? And my team and I did a pretty good job. And I was telling George Schmidt, we actually have on our board of advisors one of the top executives from McDonald's. He's now retired, but he was probably the fifth or sixth guy in the chain of command for McDonald's corporate, and we were able to get him to participate on our board of advisors. And I can't tell you how tremendous it has been for me to have someone like him and the three other people that are on my board who bring influence and reality to my executive team. Because sometimes the hardest things for any of us to embrace personally or professionally is just the elephant in the room. And the clarity that you must work toward to understand what your challenges are about, what's causing your challenges, what you must do to create breakthrough performance. So I think one of the first things that I did a pretty good job with as CEO was forming this outside board to assist with our business planning, our strategic planning, assessments about our operations. What do we do well? What do we need to do better? You know, what's changing? Our company has been around almost 60 years since my father started the company. And you can bet we've seen a lot of change in 60 years. All of you in your industries, I don't care what field you're in, you've seen change. And if there's one thing we can all count on is that the world is going to change, right? And as business owners, we better be changing with it or it'll pass us by. You know, I can think of a number of really wonderful restaurant companies and concepts that were very, very successful at some point in the journey, but things can pass you by. You know, you choose not to make an investment in something that is necessary, and what is good sometimes can turn the other direction. There's no guarantees. But having a group to influence us in our company, I know has been very, very important. In the fall of 2008, as we were finalizing our board, you all know what happened. We had that financial banking crisis and the meltdown in the Wall Street sector, and then followed by 2009, where the economy and the Great Recession started to take evidence for all of us. And we all suffered through that, right? I don't think there's a business person that didn't have to react to something that the Great Recession brought our way. You know, we all started to pull back our expenses, you know, paying more attention to every penny that we spent because our sales were all affected. And some industries were hit harder than others. And, you know, here I am, the new leader of the organization, and, you know, like spring of 2008, I took the reins. And within 5 months, the world is just kind of coming down all around us, right? But what I had at my disposal was my outside board of advisors who had been through, maybe not the exact same thing that we were going through with the Great Recession, but they had been through tough times. And the advice and the inspiration that they provided me, I know made me a better person. And I wouldn't have come up with that on my own. Kevin Dunn, the executive from McDonald's, his role was to work with franchisees in the Great Lakes District. And hey, there's nothing more stressful for a CEO than unhappy franchisees. Tell me. That is like, you know, I live to have my franchisees happy, because if they're happy, the win-win works and great business can flow. But he advised me how to speak with my franchisees, where there were specific issues, how to address them. And he's the kind of guy I can pick up the phone and talk to him in 10 minutes. And I just feel the weight lifted off to me because I know the advice that he gave me is seasoned and it's wise. So my advice for you is think about your team at work. You know, who's on your team? I guess close to you, everybody on your bus has got to be in a position where they can get you where you need to go. You know, if that's not the case, you need to address those issues, because everybody on your immediate core team has to be bringing something to bring you success. If they're not, you need to address that. Now, beyond your close team, who influences you and who advises you on business matters? You know, maybe your organization is small and you don't see the need to have a board of directors or a board of advisors, but you can participate in roundtables through the chamber and, you know, different organizations, and you can derive tremendous influence off of those relationships. So ask yourself, who is influencing me? If I have a challenge or something that I need to pursue, who do I look to for advice? And hopefully you have a quality group of people that influences you. And it may not even be a person. It could be something you read. Maybe it's a publication that you subscribe to that gives you frequent positive influence, or you can look up to certain individuals. But success is a journey. We don't get there alone. It's a team sport. Who's on your team? Do you have the best possible people close to you and within reach of you to give you what you need on your journey for success? The other thing I want to talk about a little bit is years ago we took a bunch of our managers to a seminar. A guy by the name of Ted Thelander was presenting that day. And he took us through an exercise that I have shared with all of my managers and really any chance I get where I think it fits. But it was a concept around developing a personal board of directors for you, for all of us. And the way the exercise worked, we started with a blank piece of paper, and we drew a circle on the middle of the page, and I wrote my name in that circle. And what Mr. Thielander asked us to do, he said, I want you to reflect for about 5 minutes and draw boxes around you and put the names of people that have influenced you. Who are the people in your life that have helped you be who you are? And we took time to do this, and he said, you know, think about people in your family, and think about people in your educational process, and think about maybe some of your coaches if you participated in sports, or Boy or Girl Scout leaders, or maybe extended family members, or maybe they're friends of yours, maybe they're neighbors. But he made us draw out of our kind of inner self, who are the people that have most had an impact on us? And then he took it to another level. He said, think about worldly people. Who do you really admire and look up to? And who are some of the people that you would also put around you that have had an impact on you? So we spent some time thinking about that. And you know I put down people like Jesus Christ, and I put down Ronald Reagan, and I put down Pete Rose, and I'm thinking, you know, just a variety of names. And then the last piece of work, he said, briefly describe what is the quality that you would attach to the people that you put on your personal board of directors. And I know as I went around mine, and honestly, I still carry this in my calendar with me, because there are times, hey, we all have challenges, right? If I'm having a bad day, sometimes I just open my book to this, because I know who I look to on my personal board when I need a little bit of leadership juice, or self-confidence, or discipline, or when I need something in my family role as a spouse. I've got somebody on here that I would set the example for me as just the ultimate partner in a marriage relationship. Who's the best communicator? Who's the most humble person? Who worked for harmony better than Martin Luther King? Harmony is the quality I attach to Martin Luther King. I even have Ray Kroc on here for consistency. Honestly, I'll show you. Who developed a global empire around consistency? You know what to expect. They do it exactly like that every time, anywhere you are. You know the bathrooms are going to be clean, and you know what the Big Mac is going to look like. But my personal board from that exercise that day, this can help me. When I'm stuck, I just review it, and it just gives me a little bit of energy to go do the kinds of things that are necessary, or ask the questions, the hard questions that are before us. So, you know, those are kind of my two big ideas for the day. Examine your team, who's influencing you and your team, and then look in the mirror and ask the question, who is it that has made me who I am today? I want to be more like those people every day. You know, life is very, very short. You know, today is an opportunity for us just for this 24-hour period, then it's gone. And we may not have a choice tomorrow, because the good Lord decides when our time here has been served. So how do we maximize giving every day our best with every ounce of effort that we have in our ability? That's kind of my thought here for today. And I think the two folks that they're recognizing today have lived their lives with that type of example, and we should certainly take note of that, be inspired by that. Hey, we all want to be successful. Want to be successful in our business, in our home life, in our family, in our community, everywhere we go. But I think we have to pay attention to the great folks that have been before us and be inspired by them, okay? Thank you very much. I've enjoyed being with you today.
Mike, thanks for those thoughts, comments today. I trust each one of us can take and use something that we learned today. But we need our own list, right? We got to make our own list out. We can't use yours. But thanks for sharing that with us today. We'll now move on to the presentation of the awards today. And before we get into the actual awards, I'm going to give you a little bit of background. The Hamilton Heritage Award for Outstanding Community Involvement is the 11th year of this award, and the recipient is chosen by the Small Business Council each year. Before presenting this year's recipient, I would like to introduce those recipients in attendance, our past recipients who are here today. And when I call your name, please stand. When you've all stood, we will recognize you with an applause. Mary Reimer, Joe Blue, Nancy Wiley, I don't know if I saw Nancy come in, and Mike Dingledine. I know I saw Mike come in. Let's all recognize them today. They were all certainly great award winners for our Hamilton's Heritage Award for Outstanding Community Involvement. But this year's recipient is Steve Timmer. Steve spent 33 years with the Hamilton Fire Department, retiring last year as fire captain. Was it only last year? Guess it was. Steve is currently the treasurer of the Hamilton Visitors Bureau Board, a member of the City of Sculpture Board, the City of Hamilton Tree Advisory Board, gotta take a breath, the All Wealth Federal Credit Union Board, the City of Hamilton Parks and Recreation Commission, Accent Hamilton, and the Ice Fest Committee. Steve is a Hamilton Vision Commissioner, a member of the Hamilton Rotary Club, and a Butler County Master Gardener Volunteer. Steve is the chair of the Group Study Exchange for the Hamilton Rotary Club. I knew that. And for the past few years has headed up the construction for the annual Rotary Presents musicals. I knew that too. Steve is also hands-on as a volunteer, and you can call him, you can see him working downtown. He may be cleaning sculptures, painting park shelters, cutting down honeysuckle in a park, or cutting the grass in the 3rd Street medians. I've seen you doing that before. On a personal level, Steve has been married to Linda, who's here today, for 32 years, and they have 2 children. Ashley, who lives in Arlington, Virginia, and Scott, who lives in Columbus, Ohio. It's my pleasure to introduce our 2012 recipient of the Hamilton Heritage Award for Outstanding Community Involvement, and his name is Steve Timmer. Steve, would you come forward?
I do have a few things to say here. One of them, I'd like to thank the Chamber for this honor, and it is an honor. I'd also like to congratulate George. You know, George and I are both 1973 graduates of Taft High School, which no longer exists. And I'd also like to thank George for all he does for the community. Whether it's the Santa house in wintertime at Christmas that you see these little children roaming in and out of having a blast, or the concert series which is going on right now, you'll see that little golden arch on almost any function that goes on in town. And the Schmidt family has been fabulous for this city. But I do have a little problem with the Journal News. How many of you have seen that article in the paper? They had a picture of George about this big. And they shrunk my head down to look like I was a mugshot for the prison. So I ran into that Journal News reporter and I says, "Hey, what's with that?" And he goes, "Well, George gave me free McDonald's for life." But one of the things, I mean, I am humbled by this because there's so many people in this community that do so many things. I don't know how they make the selection. I think it's almost impossible. The other day, Jim Fitton called me and says, "Steve, can you meet me at Milligan Woods? I got some issues with this," because I'm on the Parks Commission, so I met him over there at 7 a.m. We went through the park and he went through some things that I'm going to bring up at the next meeting. Well, later in the day, when I'm coming back home, I decide I'm going through the park again just to get another look at it. And I look over and there's Jim Fitton with a weed eater. He's weed eating around these trees because he was just tired of the way it looked. That's citizen involvement. Last week, we decided we were going to start cleaning the sculptures because we wanted to have them looking nice for the 4th of July. So we set a date for Friday at 10 o'clock. Of course, it's 90 degrees, of course. When I look up, see who shows up. Well, there's John Barry, of course, there's Patty Frolke, and there's Linda Dietz. Well, we start cleaning these things, and we're getting these things cleaned up, and I have a very good cooling mechanism. In other words, I sweat horribly. Next thing I know, we were all cleaning this legacy of literature, and I look up, and all the rest of them are across the street doing the Pioneer family and the Firefighters Memorial. I'm not quite sure why that was. Go to the cornhole on Saturday, and there's Judy Stitzinger. She's there working the beer booth. I didn't even see her drink any of them. So there are 3 individuals, you know, Mr. LaRosa has talked about individuals that's had influence on our lives. And believe it or not, there's 3 that I had here as far as Hamilton. I've watched over my career in the fire service. And of course, one of them is Jerry Hammond. And we wouldn't even have a visitors bureau or a welcome center if it wasn't for her taking charge when this hotel was closed for a while and the funds were cut in half. Those things would be that place would be gone. Thanks, Jerry. And of course, another influence has been Dave Ballou. Who in this room does not know what he's done for this city? Over the years, you can't even count them on, you can't count them. It's just unbelievable. And thank you, Dave. And probably the other one is my old buddy, Judge Jack Moser. This guy is the most amazing man I've ever met in my life. He's in his 80s, and he'll work you into the ground. He had me one day, he decided we're going to plant trees. We planted trees for 9 hours, and he wouldn't even let me have lunch. And as you can see by this gut, I don't go without lunch very often. And there's also some institutions that mean a lot in this town. It's done a lot for us. One is, of course, the Carruthers family. Look what they've done for this community over the years. It's just from hospitals, from swimming pools to keep kids cool in the summers, to the fitness center. Everything you can think of, this family has really done well for this community, and they deserve an absolute round of applause. And actually, my favorite organization in town is, of course, the Hamilton Community Foundation. The Community Foundation, it's got to be the best foundation in this country. It has absolutely, if you look at what they've done for this community, if you subtract that, we would really be in trouble. So the Community Foundation, my whole heart goes out to you. When we really look at business and people that took great risk, you know, there's people over time. One is, of course, Don and Vicki Ryan with Ryan's Tavern. They took a rundown building and actually turned it into a very beautiful place during a very difficult economy. And the other is Coons Restorations. Here's a guy who came in, Steve Coons from Canton, Ohio, and turned a building that was literally falling down to a most beautiful building you'll ever see. If you haven't been in it, you need to go in there. And of course, these are 2 people that's dear to my heart, and it comes from back in the mid-70s. No one in this county would invest money to develop an area of Hamilton except Ed and Judy Shelton. I've known them for a very long time. Random Hill wouldn't exist. That's where my home is. And it's just a wonderful thing they did for our community because it gives us various levels of housing that is really well done. I need to thank my wife, Linda, who doesn't give me too much grief for doing these things. She gives me a little, believe me. I come home after things, she'll say, well, you're out all working all day long in the city. Why don't you do something about that Sanford and Son garage? Well, I used to run my own construction business a little bit, made pretty good money doing it, and construction people don't throw anything away because you're always going to use it somewhere down the road. So I do have a lot of things in my garage. Matter of fact, a lot of people thought when I retired that I might restart that business and go back into construction because they felt I could, you know, really increase net worth. Then I remember I was sitting down, I get up very early. So I got up about 4 o'clock. I'm down there watching a rerun of the previous night's O'Reilly Factor. And I'm sitting there and it popped into my head, and it's an old school teacher I had at Taft High School, 10th grade, Cyrilla Everson. One of the things Mrs. Everson used to do is make us memorize lines of Shakespeare. And so one of them popped into my head. Believe it or not, I'm not kidding you, this really happened. And it was, "He is well paid that is well satisfied." And I've been very satisfied with the things I've been doing, so I guess I'm well paid. Thanks. Does anybody know which Shakespearean play that was from? Merchant of Venice.
Steve?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope your cooling mechanism is going to be working over the next week because it's going to get hot. And I wonder if Judge Moser is going to have you out planting trees and this stuff. Yeah. Congratulations, Steve. And now for our Small Business Person of the Year. We have several past recipients in the audience today. I'd like to recognize them. If they would stand and please hold your applause to the end. Bill Wilkes from Wilkes Insurance Agency. Neil Cohen from Cohen Hamilton Recycling Center. Ron Smith from American Printing. Moody Baker from Baker & Associates CPAs. Dave Lippert from Hamilton Castor. Craig Wilkes from Wilkes Insurance Agency. Ed Larkin from Rose Automotive, if I saw Ed or not. And Dennis and Robin Curlis from Riverbank Cafe / Skyline Chili. Let's give them an applause. Thank you for showing us the way and for being here again today. Now for this year's recipient, George Smith. George Smith started his McDonald's career in July 1969. I guess you were about 11 then too. Working at the Erie Boulevard restaurant in Hamilton. He became a second-generation owner-operator in 1983 when he opened his first restaurant on Boy Mill Road in Fairfield. In 1992, when his father Joel H. Smith retired, George, along with his wife Rhonda, who's here today, started Lavaggio Incorporated, a management company for McDonald's restaurants. Currently he owns and operates 3 McDonald's restaurants, all located in Hamilton. He employs over 250 people. The team consists of a crew of management, office personnel, and in-house maintenance and landscaping personnel. George has also brought his son Joel up through the ranks of the business, and he is now a third-generation owner-operator for McDonald's. Joel's also here today. Over the last 3 years, George has made a huge reinvestment in his business by rebuilding and remodeling all of his restaurants. In 2009, George decided to rebuild the Washington Boulevard location that opened in 1969. Customers have enjoyed the new restaurant and has brought a wonderful curb appeal to the west side of Hamilton. In 2011, George brought a fresh look to the downtown McDonald's as well as the one on Millville Avenue, giving the locations a major facelift, adding a double drive-throughs and TVs in the lobbies, and a fresh landscaping throughout. I got to work with George quite a bit on the Downtown Special Improvement District. He was also a former chairman of the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. And this year's recipient, 2012 recipient of the Small Business Person of the Year, is none other than George Smith. George, please come forward. Congratulations.
Thank you. Kenny, thanks for those kind words. Would have been a little bit different, I'm sure, if Mr. Griesinger would have introduced me. But Steve, congratulations. A quick story. Yesterday at one of the restaurants, I ran into someone that said, "Hey, I saw Steve out there, working in landscaping on Main Street." And he said, "I wonder how much he gets paid for that." I let him know. Well, Kenny said, been in the business, 43 years. That journey started back in 1969 when a couple that had 2 children decided to change a career. And what a big change with 2 kids. Took a big risk. They were in the oil business. Dad had a great job in the oil business. And 43 years later, I can just look and say, "What in the world were you thinking? Are you kidding me? Slinging hamburgers?" But it's the family business has just been unbelievable. Mom and Dad not only influenced me, but obviously influenced my wife, my sister, my brother-in-law, and all 5 of the grandkids have ketchup in their veins. So not only did they influence a 2nd generation, but they influenced a 3rd generation, and that's pretty special. Thank you. A lot of community activities that I've been involved with, I couldn't do it if we didn't have great people. We hired great people, and I just can't say enough about our staff. Lindsay, Denise, Mary, Jessica, Raymond, Daniel, Joel, Stan. Please. These are the people that run our restaurants, and I can't tell you how much that we appreciate what you do. If the restaurants aren't very well run, we sure don't want to go out in the community. And so thank you very much for for your dedication. It means a lot. It means a lot to all of us. We also have a couple other people. Our in-house maintenance and also our landscaper, and I think Chris Resch is absolutely the best landscaper in the business, and the restaurants look nice because of him. All this absolutely means nothing if you don't have a family to share it with. With our 3 children and 6 grandkids, that keeps us very, very busy. We're very fortunate that everyone is here in town, so we get to see them. And grandchild number 7 is on the way, so that's pretty special. My wife of how many years? 36, 37? It's not my fault you stayed with me all these years. I've done my best. Thank you very much. But through the years, you've heard Steve talk about it. You've heard Mike talk about it. The people that are involved, that have influenced your life, and there's just so many people. I've served on a lot of boards, and hopefully I've left those boards a little better than when I joined them. But I can tell you, I learned a heck of a lot from every board that I served on. There's just some awful good people in Hamilton, Ohio, and this is just a great place to do business with. The old adage, you always have to have a good accountant, a good attorney, a good banker. I got to tell you a story about one banker. For those of you who've ever had the pleasure of doing business with Dan Griesinger, Danny taught me a lot. For a few years he tried to get my business. Well, then when he finally did get our business, I think the first time I went in to get a loan, he had those famous, you might not have had glasses at that time, I don't know, but he gave it the old, what am I missing here? Danny taught me very well to make sure that you're very prepared when you go in and ask for a loan. And believe me, it has served us very well. Mike had mentioned in 2008, and when the financial just took a dive. Well, our son Joel had talked me into demolishing the Washington Boulevard restaurant. That was some interesting discussions. Like I said, a family business. You want me to do what? Yeah, I want you to tear it down. Tear it down. We don't want to remodel it. Let's tear it down. Yeah, let's tear it down. So, we made that decision. So we go about, we're going to do this in the middle of 2009. So we start getting our finances together. Well, in 2008, there was the disaster, and it's like, wow, okay, let's get our stuff together. So, fortunately, they only wanted 4 of the 6 grandkids, so we were able to keep 2 of them. But we managed through that, and it has served us very well. And as I said many times, it's good to have great friends in this business. I mentioned family, but this is also a community where we have had very good friends. And I just, I can't say enough. It means a lot, particularly, Joe Baloo will call me up and say, well, Schmidt, I'm sitting in your drive-through lane and it's not moving. Thanks, Joe. Or Jimmy Fenton will call up and say, George, do you know that new building you just built? There's a big crack in the brick. Thanks, Jimmy. Well, it's always, you can never, those people definitely keep you humble, very humble in this business. I can't say enough about that, but it's been a great business. It's been a fun business. I can honestly say there's not, in 43 years, it's not a job. It's a pleasure and it's a joy to go into. It's just great dealing with the customers every day, even customers like Bill Hartford. I think Sunshine's here somewhere. Mr. Sunshine, that's the nickname that we give him. Yeah. It was really fun today. I don't know if I'm going to basically probably insult about everybody, but Hartford, it was nice to see you get that wallet out today. He actually got his wallet out and paid Nancy O'Neill for today's lunch. Thanks, Bill. That was fun to see. Through a lot of years and a lot of committees working hard, I've got to say one thing on which with working with the city of Hamilton. We've had 3 major projects in the last 3 years, and we couldn't have done it if there wasn't good people in the city. Jerry Flick gets it. I can tell you for small businesses and people that are doing projects. Jerry helped us out, tremendously. The Economic Development Department, the Construction Services has come a long way. To our groundbreaking, Brandon Sauber shows up. It means a lot. No, those are, may seem like small things, Brandon, but it means a lot to the small business owners. And so, thank you very much. In the end, you've heard me say it, many times, many places. I just, I think that I live in the greatest city, in the greatest county, in the greatest state, in the greatest country. And I just, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody being here. And thank you very much for the award. Thanks a lot.
George and Steve, congratulations. Very well deserved. A lot of fun. And I think if you listen closely, you could hear some of what you talked about, Mike, in their comments. Thanking people that have brought them where they were. George talked a lot about his team and getting good people. So I think you're on the same page. So congratulations again. I want to say a special thanks to the Small Business Person of the Year judges. In addition to myself, I'd like to recognize John Gaduli, the Chamber Chairman, Mayor Pat Moeller, Dennis and Robin Curlis, last year's recipients, Terry Bucco from Cox Media Group, Ohio, and Ron Smith from American Printing. Let's give them a hand. Also want to thank our Chamber Centennial sponsors, Fort Hamilton Hospital and Mercy Health Fairfield Hospital. Thanks for all you do. Let's give them a hand this morning. Good afternoon. And a special thanks to our event sponsor. I don't know if they're all over here or not, but First Financial Bank. Thanks so much for your help today. Are you okay, Dan, even though you got insulted? Okay. Also, a special thanks to the Courtyard by Marriott, Hamilton, Hamilton Journal-News, and TV Hamilton. Mike, thanks again for being here today and your comments. Steve, congratulations. I know your family is very proud, even though you still have a Sanford & Son garage. Get to work on that. And George, thanks for all you've done. Thanks for your example. Congratulations to you and your family. And with that, I'd like to wrap up. Have a great day and stay cool.